Do you ever feel like you've hit the wall, or you're stuck and you're caught between engaging sight and fear of not having enough cool things on your site for obvious reasons, and suddenly you start overthinking every little detail, every pixel, and before you know it, you are procrastinating like a pro. But some sites do better than others by bringing in the balance. The animations are never too complicated, not too scary to implement. The result achieved by these sites is nothing short of pure magic. Take a look at this little fella. It has this colorful border, and when I hover over it, it starts doing its thing. I can't quite put my finger on why it looks so cool, but I'm definitely itching to give it a go. And in case you missed it, it's not just the border. There's this rad neon effect that adds an extra touch of serenity to the whole thing. We're gonna break down the problem into smaller sections and then tackle each one individually. Alright, so first things first, I'm gonna set the stage. Let's turn on some blinds and dim the lights. Perfect. How about we set some HTML for the button? Adding this content div. Why? We'll talk about this in just a minute. Apply CSS to the button. Before moving next, let's move some of our values to CSS variables so you can use them later. Let's make our content look pretty. Begin step 2 by throwing in some HTML alongside the content. And moving to the CSS, let's start with gradient styles first. Giving it background color as red, our favorite debug color. But we see nothing. Because the div doesn't have height by default, it's 0. Let's give it a width and height of 300 pixels each. You all know position absolute will do the trick. Actually, we can do better. Let's get rid of width and height. Offsetting the top, right, left and bottom by -100 pixels will do the trick. Actually, I'm going to swap all these values for inset. Surprisingly, it works well. It's much less code and I really like it. Throwing in some gradients, but we need colors first. I love the rainbow effect, but instead of using 7 colors, I'm gonna go with 5, making sure that it matches the mood. Now it's time to nail the color matching. If you trim it to the desired shape, it simply doesn't look quite right. Swapping it with radial gradient, not this one either. So how do we obtain this pie chart effect? Let's resort to Google and see if it can help us. Yep, that's exactly what we were aiming for. And what do you know? We have the effect in place. So all the colors are transitioning smoothly, but there's an immediate jump from green when going back to blue as it starts over. There is a neat trick to make the last transition smooth. Let me explain why it works. So the gradient starts at green and ends at blue. And if we combine two similar gradients, the end result isn't smooth, and we see the same jump. To address that, we need to pad the last color at the start as well. And now, when we combine, we see the result is seamless and the jump is gone. Removing border radius from our gradient class. Let's style the border class, setting the position to absolute, width and height to 100%, hiding overflow, adding border radius, neat. In third step, we put neon class alongside the border class. Add some HTML for neon. The only property we need is blur with value of 10 pixels. It's bright, let's dim it. Perfect. Let's give it life by adding animation. The animation gradually rotates the element over a 2-second duration and repeats indefinitely. Let's make it a little slower. We can change the animation state on hover. But I like the way it is. I know it's a bit too much, but let's keep it that way. So we've replicated the effect, but we aren't done yet. Can we do something interesting? Make it more interactive? Alright, giving it a shot. And let me know in the comments about the little tweak I'm going to make if it's too much. But before that, I want to modify the existing code. We can change the center of conic gradient and also modify the starting point of colors by changing the from property. Moving position variables into the root. You'll see in a minute why. Grabbing the root and the button since we're gonna need those. Adding mouse event on the button so that we know if our mouse is moving inside the button. So here's how we do it. We take the client X and client Y positions, which tells us where the cursor is in relation to the entire screen. Then we subtract the left and top, which is where a button starts on the screen. This gives us how far into the button the cursor is. We then divide the button with width and height accordingly. To get the percentage as gradient position expects that format, we multiply it by 100 and there you go. Now we update the values of the positions that we have calculated on the root. And you can see this calming effect as I move my mouse over the button. This looks cool, but when I move the mouse out of the button, the gradient position doesn't reset. So we reset the position back to 50% when the cursor moves out of the screen by adding a mouse out event. Looks like it worked. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.